Problem Solving Court is a really innovative project that we actually brought to Stockport, and it has a number of key features. And at the heart of the Problem Solving Court's methodology is this whole idea of having dedicated bench of sentencers, legal advisors, and dedicated team whose responsibility it is to have a look at all the relevant cases and deal with them in a way which allows us to deal with the problem of crime and offending.
The offender may be identified by myself or my colleagues when checking court listings. The court also are aware of the criteria for Problem Solving Court, which is the offence must have crossed the custody threshold or be medium to high seriousness. The offender must also have two of the requirements: accommodation issues, drugs or alcohol issues, finance problems, and employment and training. Once these are identified, I'll have a brief chat with the offender, and really it's about assessing motivation.
Ultimately, what we are trying to do is to reduce reoffending, reduce harm that crime causes to the community, and reduce the number of victims that we have every year within the criminal justice system. And they are successful because we have a dedication and commitment from all the agencies to try to make a difference to the issues which have actually led the offender to commit the crime in the first place. What we do know is that 50% of offenders are known to the criminal justice system through their previous contact with agencies because they have committed offences or they've been involved in crime or substance misuse or things of that nature. Given that, there is a huge amount of responsibility on the criminal justice system to try to do something about this group of people because they are persistent, they continue to reoffend, and what we want to do is we want to make a difference to the issues which actually lead them to represent or continuously represent themselves to the criminal justice system.
You were identified as suitable for the Problem Solving Court. You've a previous breach on your last order. Can you tell me what's different this time?
Life was a bit chaotic back then. Drug use was really high.
What I hear you saying is that you could use some support in addressing your problems.
It's been a bit of a wake-up call, this. Otherwise, I'm going to end up in prison.
We're going to go ahead with the report interview. I'm going to be asking you a few questions, gathering information about the offence. And then we'll ask you a few questions about the different areas of your life. And that will feed into the sentence planning meeting on Monday morning. Do you say you have stable accommodation at the moment?
Just sofa surfing wherever I can get my head down at the moment.
So actually getting into stable accommodation, it would actually impact positively on your ability to address your drug and alcohol use?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I'll then make arrangements for appointments with other agencies for assessment. We'd meet at the sentence planning meeting in the morning on the Monday. We collectively all contribute to the proposal. Even the offender in some ways, as the offender's the expert in their own lives. This is Stephen Campbell. Stephen's triggers kind of motivation to commit the offences were underpinned quite a bit by his drug use and alcohol use. Plus he was struggling to fund his use.
What it is that they all need to do in order to help us manage the offender, which is then presented to the court, and the court then makes the decision on whether or not to impose a community sentence.
Nick, potentially you'll be the supervising officer. You'll see Nick every 5 weeks at reviews.
I attend the morning meeting, the pre-sentence meeting with the offender and all the other agencies, and just try and make a plan of attack on how we can address these issues and stop this behaviour that leads to the offending for the individual. What benefits are you on at the minute?
Stop my income.
All right, why have they done that, do you know?
Missed a couple of appointments a few weeks ago.
What we need to do is perhaps get you an appointment with your GP. If he feels that you're unfit for work, then maybe we could put an application in for ESA for you. And that will help you, won't it, with your housing.
So where are you living at the moment?
I'm staying at a mate's.
And have you got family living in Stockport?
Mum's in Stockport, but we're not really on talking terms at the moment.
I run the Stockport Housing Offender Service and I'm the accommodation lead for Problem Solving Court. I'll plan for them and what the offender kind of needs to do to address the issues, and if they do need the help, they need to kind of work with us.
I'll try and book you in tomorrow to see you. I'll probably have a chat with your mum, do some mediation, see if we can get you back there temporarily, and then I will work with you to look long-term options, get you on the housing list.
Your priorities at the moment are getting somewhere stable to live and getting your substance use sorted out. I don't think you'd be ready to hold a job down until you've addressed those other issues. Achieve is a project which is funded for 5 years to encourage more ex-offenders to get into employment, training and education. I don't think Stephen is in a state where he could work and hold down a job at this present time. So what we need to do is look at how we could work out with him to put other things in place. So I'll be looking at things like getting you a proper CV, getting you maybe a CSCS card so you'd be qualified to work on building sites.
Sounds good, yeah, I'll be up for that, yeah.
Met Stephen last week and we did a full assessment. We are dependently using alcohol and drugs. He's engaged in treatment in the past but has dropped out, but he feels that if he's given the order it'll help his motivation to stick with treatment this time.
We assess offenders to see what their treatment needs are. It means that the client is in the process a lot quicker than everybody else. The offender's getting their needs met, and it also means that agencies don't have to duplicate all the outside work that's needed to be done.
This is kind of a last chance before custody, which means if you do breach the order, then you are at risk of custody. It's kind of a last chance for
it's a real opportunity for you.
Yeah.
Then I staff the court in the afternoon. I'm the probation representative in court during sentence. And then after that, I would see that person every 5 weeks during the review process.
One of possession of a small amount of heroin. The court adjourned your case until today's date for sentence, requesting that the probation service prepare a pre-sentence report to assist the magistrates in passing sentence.
Mr Campbell, what we need to know is how often have you been using heroin?
Yes, Your Worship, at the moment I'm using heroin every day.
And how long have you been using heroin for?
I've been using heroin for about 5 years.
We can see from your criminal record that you have previously had a drug rehabilitation programme imposed by this court 2 years ago. How can you persuade us this time is going to be any different?
Yes, Your Worship, I attended a meeting this morning with a probation officer and a number of members of staff from different agencies. I hope to work with all these agencies to address my issues, and hopefully this will stop me from reoffending.
I've heard good feedback from the magistrates. They can clearly see objectives of what the order will entail, matched with what's addressing risk and reducing risk of reoffending or risk of harm.
It will have been explained to you that if we do decide to impose a problem-solving community order, as recommended by the probation service, that this is not an easy option. There will be many appointments with the agencies which will be required to attend and also to come back before this court to review your progress. If you fail to comply with any part of this order, you will be breached, and the likelihood is you will get a custodial sentence. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Worship, I'm 100% motivated to comply. I know that I could be returned to custody if I don't comply.
OK, Mr Campbell, we are persuaded to follow the recommendations in the probation service report. You will be sentenced to a 6-month community order with 2 requirements for 6 months supervision and 6 months drug rehabilitation requirement. We note the sentencing action plan in this report has been tailored to address your individual problems to prevent you reoffending. You have agreed to this action plan. We will require you to attend this court before ourselves in 5 weeks' time. At that hearing, we will discuss with you what progress you will have made, and we will also see a report from the probation service, including feedback from all the agencies. We will also get a drug test results. We'll also set goals for you to achieve for the next 5 weeks. Do you understand?
Yes, fully understand, Your Worship.
Thank you.
There's clear kind of results sometimes, somebody getting into housing or tenancy support, setting those objectives before the order's in place, can see clear results. If the offender's willing and motivated, and quite often they are.
The case is reviewed every 5 weeks, and the purpose of the review is for the dedicated problem-solving court to keep an eye on the offender and to monitor and track progress. Now, the reason why the offender is more likely to comply with the order because they have a review is that they go before the same sentencer who would have actually dealt with them in the first place, and that continuity is really very important. It's one of the critical features of problem-solving methodology.
The next case, Your Worships, is Stephen Campbell. He's here for his first review. Mr Campbell, have you read the report that the probation have prepared for today's hearing?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Perhaps Mr Campbell could sit down, sir.
Yes, please sit down.
And the progress report is presented by the offender manager from the probation service.
Mr Lankey, is there anything you wish to add to today's report?
Yes, Your Worships. Mr Campbell has made a positive start to this order. He's attended all of his appointments to date with his offender manager and also with his substance misuse workers. Mr Campbell has been given a timetable and is also receiving texts which help with his attendance. All the tests to date have been proven positive for heroin. However, it is notable that Mr Campbell has made some reductions on his illicit drug use to date, and this is seen as a real positive at this point in the order. Through the cooperative working with the community drug team, Mr Campbell is now on a methadone prescription and he's receiving 40 mils of methadone daily. Areas of work that still need to be addressed during the order are that he would continue with his substance issues and that these will be addressed to abstinence, and that Mr Campbell will engage with Achieve, who would have met 5 weeks ago prior to sentence. They're the people that will look at the education and training needs that once we've got Mr Campbell stable.
Thank you, Mr Lankey. Good afternoon, Mr Campbell. The purpose of today is to look at your progress since we saw you last 5 weeks ago. We have read the probation report, which includes all the drug test results and the feedback from the other agencies. Firstly, may I say that you are looking definitely much better than you did 5 weeks ago.
Thank you.
When they go back and they hear from the judge and the courts that actually they're doing really well, it's good for their confidence, because up to that point they probably had everything negative. So it encourages people to carry on and to move on.
And how have you found attending all the appointments you've been given?
I've been given a diary, so I'm able to put down when my appointments are, and I also get texts.
Now, we note that all your tests have been positive for using heroin. What progress do you feel you've made?
I was using daily. I'm using maybe, say, once or twice a week at the moment, so I am reducing. Got back in touch with my mum. Stockport homes have been really helpful. My mum can see that I'm helping myself. Staying with mum at the moment, but I'm on the waiting list, so I hope to get my own flat soon.
How are the supervision appointments going?
I find speaking to probation really useful. I have a mentor as well who's helped me sort my benefits out.
Some of the people that we see coming through the court have probably never had a positive relationship in their life, and you know, they're quite taken aback by the approach that we take.
Questions? Well, Mr Campbell, we are very pleased with the start you've made and the progress to address your problems. What our job now is to set you some new goals for your next review. So firstly, we will expect in 5 weeks' time for some negative drug results. Secondly, we want you to work with the educational training and employment officer and developing your skills with view to getting a job. Finally, you must attend all your appointments as normal. We'll see you in 5 weeks' time. Thank you for coming today. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Offenders get one chance at the problem-solving court. That's part of the criteria. Short custodial sentences. They'll serve to remove the offender from the community for a short period of time, but they'll still come back out with all those problems. Addressing those problems effectively will make for safer communities.
The ultimate aim of problem solving is that we need to be reducing reoffending, and it's our aim to make the community a better and a safer place for everybody to live in, really.
It's great when everybody pulls together, and it's great to hear those stories back from the offenders that the offence has stopped now and they want to support other people who are in the same situation.
You could say everybody benefits from this. The offender does, the agencies do, and the wider community of Stockport do. We are reducing reoffending.
Instead of a person just going in and being given a sentence, they actually get a chance to outline what their problems are and to say what's achievable from their point of view.
I hope you've been able to see how different agencies at Stockport work together, and that ultimately how well we are all committed to dealing with community safety and reducing the number of victims of crime at Stockport. Hopefully we are moving them from being an offender to becoming a law-abiding, responsible citizen. If all of us work together and we pool our resources, then we are likely to be more successful in terms of getting the outcome that we're all after. Stockport has actually proved that through problem-solving courts and a number of other projects that we are all involved in, we are in the forefront of innovation and change, and that will continue to remain the case as we move forward.